we're going to cross live then to Kyiv, talk to our correspondent Gulliver Cragg, who joins us from there. Gulliver, tell us first what the latest is on these attacks in Crimea.
Well, first of all, we should perhaps remind viewers that the information about 3 people having been killed in Simferopol is coming only from the occupation authorities there, who don't have the same level of legitimacy to, as it were, be believed as the authorities in Ukraine, because there are no free media that they're allowing to operate there. There aren't also credible independent NGOs who can corroborate that kind of information. Whereas in Ukraine, in the same 24-hour period in Donetsk region, local authorities there are saying that 7 civilians were killed. Civilians being killed in Donetsk region is something that happens on an almost daily basis and often goes unreported. So it's worth stressing that. But that's not to say that necessarily the authorities there in Crimea are lying, because these Ukrainian attacks are definitely very real. They did also say that it was a non-residential area of Simferopol, which is also what the Ukrainians are saying, that they targeted industrial areas, actually also a military base in the center of Simferopol. That's according to the Crimean media in exile, Crimea, which is based in Kyiv. Its journalists are unable to operate freely in Crimea, but they do have various ways of being in touch with people there and trying to work out what's going on. And there were explosions, according to Crimea, reported in 3 cities in Crimea: Simferopol, Sevastopol and Feodosia. Apart from that military base in Simferopol, the localization of the explosions in those cities suggests that they were near oil refineries, so it suggests it's part of this ongoing Ukrainian campaign of targeting, apart from military targets, also refineries and things to do with Russia's oil and gas industry, and also just the production and distribution of petrol. At the moment, there's a severe fuel shortage in Crimea. There was a sort of wry article also on Crimea this morning that they put, ironically perhaps, in the lifestyle section, saying how to have a nice holiday in Crimea this summer when the internet is cut off, there's no petrol, and there are constant air raid sirens.
Gulliver, we've also been hearing from the US Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. He said more aid for Ukraine is on its way. He also said, didn't he, that Russia cannot win this war?
Yes, I feel like Marco Rubio is perhaps reflecting some effect. Perhaps this is an optimistic Kyiv perspective on this, but the effect of Kyiv's recent successes on the battlefield, and also those strikes on Saint Petersburg yesterday, just at the start of the economic forum there, that perhaps the US administration is realizing that the Russians were perhaps bluffing when they kept trying to convince them that they would take the rest of Donetsk region, at the very least, in Ukraine by force if they weren't given it diplomatically, because Marco Rubio said it's now clear that Russia cannot achieve what it is demanding in the talks by force on the battlefield. That contrasts with what Donald Trump was saying just a few weeks ago, though of course Donald Trump says a lot of contradictory things. But this 400 million in aid is also something that is music to the ears of Ukrainians. It's not very much, but at least it's something. As I understand it, that's been voted by Congress and is awaiting Pete Hegseth's signature. Perhaps there is a feeling that the momentum is towards the Americans giving in at least a little bit to that, perhaps just to pacify Congress a bit with increasing disgruntlement, including among the Republican ranks, with the Trump administration. And remember, many Republican senators and Congress people are much more pro-Ukrainian than Donald Trump, Pete Hegseth and other high-up members of his administration are.
Gulliver, thanks so much. Gulliver Cragg talking to us live there from Kyiv.